Hey guys, so I get asked a lot what affects the price of a power washing job. So we're going to break it down into the four main categories: houses, decks, fences, and concrete. And we're going to be looking at the factors that affect the price of each of them. First category is houses. So the biggest factor is probably what you would expect, which is the size of the house. Obviously, if it's a bigger house, it's going to cost more to power wash. Another factor is if there's an area that's taller that I need the extension for. The extension takes a little while to set up, and also it's harder to use than the normal wand that I typically use when I'm power washing. So of course that's going to be a bit more. Also, if there's an area that's particularly hard to get to, such as the siding above a garage is pretty hard, as well as if there's an area that's behind a bunch of bushes, that's going to be a bit more difficult. But the last factor is if the customer wants to add anything on, such as a deck or a shed, that's of course going to increase the price as well. So the next category is decks. So again, with decks, the biggest factor is the size of the deck. Obviously, the larger the deck, the more the power washing job is going to be. But another factor is that, from my experience, wooden decks actually take longer than vinyl decks. I think the reason is because the dirt absorbs more into the wood, whereas normally with the vinyl it just sort of slides right off. But those are really the two main factors for decks. So the next category is fences. So with fences, there's a few different things. So obviously the size of the fence and the length affect it a lot. Also, if it's a picket fence, it's going to be a lot harder to get into like every nook and cranny. Whereas a lot of the fences are just like a flat wall where you can just power wash like back and forth, and it's a lot quicker. So generally, picket fences are going to be more expensive if they're the same length. Also, sometimes the customer just wants one side of the fence done as opposed to both sides. So obviously, if they want both sides, it's going to be a bit more expensive. But that's pretty much it for what affects the price of a fence power wash. So with concrete, it's the easiest thing to power wash, and it's also the easiest thing to do the estimate for power washing it. Pretty much the only factor with concrete is the area or the size of the concrete. There's really no other factors